What up, and welcome to the Roundtable. I am your host, Brad Wakai, alongside my co-host, Tyson Gentry. How we doing today?
I'm good, man. How are you? I mean, you still licking your wounds after last weekend?
Dude, so thank God for props, Tyson, because that you know what it was? It was the Saturday that
Yep.
just smacked me, man. 0 for 3 on Saturday, my against the spread, but you had a day. You had a weekend. I mean, you were rolling. Let me see. Let me go to the tape here. 4-2 against the spread picks.
We'll
That
take
was
it.
impressive.
We'll take it. We had a good weekend of props as well, but it's not your fault that you didn't bet well on Saturday. That's college football's day. And
You're
the
right.
NFL just infringed on that. So you're still in college football mode where I know you're trying to take every team total over there is and all this stuff. And now, we got the Bills showing up and punking somebody. We're turning the games off by halftime.
I know. 1 for 5 I was against the spread, so not great. I need a bounce back, but Tyson 12 for 9 prop wise. I'll take that. And honestly, the ones that we were missing on was the prop parlay because Josh Jacobs doomed us from the start with that big one, but
Yep.
we got it rolling on Sunday. We had our moments, and honestly, looking at this, and I mean, how are we going to foresee that Darrell Williams was going to get one carry?
Yeah, Jerick McKinnon is
You know,
back from the dead, and he's just as good as he was pre one ACL tear ago.
crazy stuff. So I mean, ultimately, overall, we had some plus touchdown props in that. I mean, profitable weekend. If you tailed Tyson, if you tailed me, probably came out a little bit negative on the spread stuff. But if you tailed Tyson, I think you probably came out positive. So we're gonna be back at it with more picks for the divisional weekend, which I'm absolutely excited for.
Yeah, and I loved how delicately you put that. You probably came out a little bit negative, but it's not my fault.
No, it's a Saturday game. So they didn't
Exactly.
treat me well.
No, but this week we're making money. That's all that matters.
We are making money this week. That's for sure. So that's something to pay attention to on the back end. We're going to go through the divisional weekend. We got 4 games. We're breaking them all down, just like last week. You know the drill. Against the spread, money line picks, props, exotics that Tyson will bring to you, and then we got our round table prop parlay again. We're not shying away from this one, Tyson. We got
Leaning
another
into it.
banger.
Yeah, I mean, is this not a gambling show? Are we not doubling down on our poor parlay last week?
Exactly.
What do you want
We're
us to quit?
we're going to keep shooting.
No.
That's what we do.
Yeah, it only takes one.
It only takes one. But before we get to there, Tyson, what we're going to do for you listeners out there, we're going to break down the losing side of the teams over Wild Card Weekend. I think there's a lot of things to be said about these teams. Some positive, a lot of negatives. I think in some instances, a lot of questions surrounding where these franchises go. And so we'll start here with the Raiders in a game against the Bengals. I was pretty shocked by just the way I think the Raiders looked outmatched talent wise compared to the Bengals, which looking back on, I probably shouldn't have been just because we see the roster of the Bengals and you're like, okay, this is a really, really stacked team on paper. And the Raiders don't match up. But I just think when you saw it on the field, when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, it's just a completely different level of talent between these two teams. And Derek Carr was kind of holding it together with duct tape. The Raiders weren't good situationally, which when you're outmanned, that's you gotta be good situationally, and that didn't happen for him. So that's the first thing really popped out to me. It's just the lack of talent that the Raiders have as an overall roster.
And to combat that, Brad, they're getting rid of Mike Mayock, general manager. What do you have? How long was him
3
and Gruden
years.
there? 3 years. And so we all like to make fun of Mayock for the Clellan Farrell pick and the other Jonathan Abrams and the blunders in the first round, but he's been really good in rounds like 3 through 7. So hopefully they can get somebody in there. They can get that high end talent. And they get that right because they seem a step slower. They're just and it's not so much the Raiders have really good players, I think, but athletically they just don't match up with the high end teams in the NFL, and that's a huge problem when trying to compete in the playoffs.
Yeah, and they had the talent, I think, on the edge when we broke it down. How do they get after Joe Burrow? How do they get this game into a place that makes the talented roster uncomfortable enough where you can steal a game in the playoffs? Well, we identified it was edge rushing. That's a weakness of the Bengals. Their tackles and blocking a pass rush. There was no pass rush to be seen. I mean, a little bit in situations where the Raiders came up with big sacks on third down to force field goals instead of touchdowns, but those are still points that are going up on the board for the Bengals. Like there was nothing on their side of the field, on the plus side of the field. There were no big plays in that, and that made the Bengals have to punt. That made the Bengals a little nervous, stealing possessions for the Raiders. And that was disappointing to me, especially when we identified that, hey, this is what needs to happen for success, and they just couldn't do it.
And a big thing I think for Vegas this offseason, not just trying to get a new general manager and a new coach, this is a team that traded for Antonio Brown. That went bad. Draft Henry Ruggs in the first round. That went bad. Draft Brian Edwards, I believe, second round, maybe early third round. And he looks okay sometimes. He looks above average. Sometimes you can't find him, others. So this is like 3 high-level investments they've made to the receiving core. Darren Waller getting older, banged up this postseason, looked a little bit slower in that game back, obviously coming off injury. But, you never know when his last day as one of that kind of big 3, when that comes, then you're out. And it's just Hunter Renfrow. And this is a very bad skill position group over in Vegas.
Yeah, it's definitely something they need to address. And I think alongside of that, do they invest in Derek Carr going forward? Is that something they want to do? Do they look for a trade partner with Derek Carr? I think depending on the asking price and what you can get in return, where this roster is set up, that may not be as crazy as it sounds to try to find a destination for Derek Carr. But if you, on the flip side, if you do commit to Derek Carr, like you said, the weapons have to improve across the board. Like it's no more, okay, Renfro on third down doing some crazy route and then maybe Zay Jones over the top. Like you need to get him somebody along the lines of like a Devontae Adams or a Michael Thomas, let's say, somebody who can go to and be that game breaker because he hasn't had it since he's been in Oakland and now Las Vegas.
He has not. And I think that Vegas is in that kind of Chicago Bulls spot post Derrick Rose, pre where they are now, where it was like, I know this is a weird comparison, but when they signed Dwayne Wade just to make the playoffs and like be relevant and people will tune in, a lot of franchises across sports do that because it puts butts in the seats. The owners can make some money. And now I don't know if Mark Davis is that kind of guy, but they're really caught here because this thing would have to be a complete teardown. Which would that be that bad? They're looking for a new head coach, new general manager. It would be a lot easier than going, I mean, it wasn't like the league did them a favor making them get rid of Gruden, but it kind of pushed them into a direction that I think might be the better one to take. It's just painful.
It certainly is a reset in terms of where you thought you had a coach for 10 years, John Gruden. He's been a Oakland Raider legend in the past. Thought bringing him back for 10 years and big money, the face of the franchise stability, well, that's gone. Like you said, now it does force a reset in a certain way. Now they are interviewing coaches. They're going to have to now interview general manager position. They interviewed Rich Bisaccia, who is the interim coach. I don't know if that's somebody they want to bring back. Now there's a rumor out there that Jim Harbaugh, if offered the Raiders job, would take it. Now that's on the table, or that's a report. So we'll see where this franchise decides to go. I mean, that's a big splashy name for Mark Davis, but we got a lot of offseason. We got the draft. They're going to have to get a general manager, I think, beforehand. Or if they do decide to go with Jim Harbaugh, is he going to bring somebody in he likes, a player personnel guy? That there's just a lot going on that the Raiders are going to have to figure out top to bottom. Hey, how do we want to work this franchise?
Yeah, the age-old how good do you want to be, and how much are you willing to do to get there? Because everyone that you have in that building recommended Gruden and Mayock and the Antonio Brown trade and all that stuff that went wrong. They're gone. So like, let's hopefully create some goodwill, take some steps and move forward, because it could be, it's like as soon as they get out of the gutter and they're not quite as bad perennially, it's looking like this team's peaked.
Now a team surprised in a way that made the playoffs. I think, Tyson, for you and me, when we looked at the Raiders preseason, or I'm sorry, the Patriots preseason, we didn't have high expectations for this team. We didn't think they'd be very good. I think we predicted them third in their own division. I think we said that the Dolphins would finish ahead of them.
Mm-hmm.
Got on a run in midseason, looked competent. Defense was starting to play extremely well, pairing with the rushing attack and Mac Jones, off of play action. Then it peaked too early, and you saw the wheels kind of fall apart. And then they got thrashed by the Bills, and a team that's ascending in a direction that they're going to be Super Bowl contenders for a while with their quarterback and Josh Allen. And the Patriots got to get back to that level. And that's somebody in their own division that they haven't had to worry about for a while. So Patriots got a lot of things to figure out here.
It's weird, right? Like, how much more confident are you in the Patriots going forward for next year than you were last year?
That's a tough question. I mean, right now, I don't know if I have the answer to that.
I think I'm more optimistic, but it doesn't. I don't know, like, at what level this team can build an offense to compete for a Super Bowl as currently constructed. They've spent a bunch of money on Eastern Washington legend Kendrick Bourne and Philadelphia Eagle legend Nelson Aguilar, signed Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry for huge money, invested in the running back position in the draft again with Ramondre Stevenson. Granted, I think they got him fourth rounder later, so not that big of an investment, but like all these skill position guys, and then the questions are still there on offense. Like, we have no home run hitter. We don't have, like, you mean you barely got to move the chains guy. It's really Jacoby Myers. And he's good for what he does for the New England Patriots. But on most other teams, he's, this might be the only team in the league that he's the definitive number one on. So I think that for as much as we loved New England in the middle of the season, and people are like, oh, they're the favorite to make the Super Bowl from the AFC, there's still just as many questions to me with this team as there was a year ago. They just played really well against bad teams, and that's what, above average teams do.
Right, and that's what Bill Belichick's made not his career. I mean, that's going far, but like when you're playing a bad team and you're Bill Belichick, he goes out of his way to smack you because he's more prepared than the head coach. He knows how to scheme defenses to combat your poor quarterback that you have if you're a bad team. And so I think we fooled ourselves into seeing this Patriots team and doing what the Patriots used to do against bad teams. Like, oh, okay, here we go. We know what this team is, and there are those limitations there. They spent a ton of money, and it's not like they spent a ton of money because it was just a luxury. Like, no, their house was falling apart. They need to demo this thing, and they decided just to patch it up. Like, oh, I'll just DIY. I'll go to Lowe's, spend a shit ton of money, and see if I can patch this thing up myself instead of getting a whole demo and going buying a new house. You know what I mean? Like, we have problems at quarterback. Let's plug it with Mac Jones. Okay, he's been pretty good. How do we supplement him? A running game. Okay, but that takes away some of our explosion. And when we need that, we're throwing to Kendrick Bourne, who's a good player, or we're throwing to Jacoby Myers, who's a good player. And Hunter Henry's a really good tight end. Yeah, but he never broke through when he was on the Chargers, and he's always hurt. And those are your guys, and you kind of look at those skill position players, and you're like, it's not popping out to me. And that's just on the offense. They spent a ton on the defense.
Yep.
Matt Judon was a big acquisition, and he played really well for him. And J.C. Jackson's a really good corner. And then beyond that, like you're searching for these players. Like, who are these blue chip players that the Patriots used to have? Like, used to go down the list. Boom, boom, boom. Blue chipper, blue chipper, blue chipper, that position. And they've just lost a lot of talent at that door. And they're going to have to supplement and add, whether they go back to free agency or whether they get back to the draft and start finding players and just plugging and playing.
This is fun because it was going to be really annoying if New England was just back.
Right.
They were like, if they just showed up and they beat the Bills by 10 in a 27-17, they shut Josh Allen game down. I would have I don't know what I would have done. I mean, at that point, the NFL is scripted and Belichick's writing it because there's no other way. He's got his work cut out for him, but I think as long as he wants to coach, they'll continue to get better.
And I think that's the question. How long will he coach? It seems like he's still into it. Kind
at
of
least
adjusting.
one more year, he said. He said,
At least
as of right now, that's the plan.
Well, maybe McDaniels will get that head coaching position before he knows it. So
Yeah, but he wanted the Patriots with Tom. I don't know how bad he wants this.
true. Tyson, all right, near and dear our heart here. Eagles. Oh man, really rough. To put it lightly, really rough. And
Yeah.
I, I'm going to say this about Jalen Hurts: is improved from his rookie year to this year. He works really hard, and I think he can get there. And I think he earned himself another year of being a starter of the Eagles. I think Howie Roseman, the general manager, would be crazy to use this draft capital that they've accrued through smart deals and smart trades to go all in on either an older veteran like a Russell Wilson or an Aaron Rodgers, or to move up in the draft that's really weak at quarterback. I think that would be crazy. Now, you may say you're crazy if you don't want Aaron Rodgers on your team, or you're crazy if you don't want Russell Wilson on your team. I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of this: what we saw against the Bucks is not a ready-made roster to win the Super Bowl. Like, that talent gap was immense, as it should have been. I mean, it's a young roster except for on the defensive end. They looked unprepared as a coaching staff, which again, first playoff game against the Super Bowl champions, for God's sake. I mean, yes, I shouldn't be that shocked. I was shocked that it looked that bad, but this roster's not ready made to win a Super Bowl right now. They overachieved in a rebuilding year that nobody thought they would make the playoffs. And the fact a lot of people thought they'd be the worst team in the league. That's how poorly they thought of this roster. And now you're telling me, well, if they just move all this draft capital and go get Rodgers and Wilson, oh, they can compete. It's like, I don't know if that's the case. I really don't. So that's my first thought on this whole thing with the Eagles is, yeah, Jalen Hurts looked bad, and Jalen Hurts looked flustered and didn't look comfortable at all in that game the entire time. But I don't think that one game is an indictment on Jalen Hurts, and I don't think that we can make a proclamation about how good Jalen Hurts can be based on him playing a defending champion Super Bowl who just made Patrick Mahomes in the biggest game of the year look really bad last year.
I agree with everything that you said. The issue for me with the way that the Eagles looked on against Tampa Bay is that that's how they looked in on Monday night against Dallas, and that's how they looked in all of their big game moments this year, where they played Super Bowl contending teams or teams that have are going to the playoffs. They coached and play called like the plays that were called are plays that you call when you're scared because you don't think that what you are good at is good enough to beat somebody. And I think honestly that was a lot of why they weren't running the ball early in the season is because Sirianni thought he could do all these things, and then when he wasn't, it's like bubble screen, bubble screen, bubble screen, punt. And that was the vibe almost from the get-go. You could tell that Philadelphia was going to call this game close to the vest. And even if Jalen Hurts played perfect, like 100% completion percentage, perfect, I don't know if they win that game anyways, based on the way that the game was being called. They only had a couple times in the game where they took shots really to go to the end zone and score. So I don't think you can make a judgment call on Jalen Hurts yet either, as far as how good he can be. I mean, it's pretty silly to expect him to come out and throw for 300 yards. I thought maybe he'd look a little better. Again, that interception wasn't really his fault. He's on the run across his body. Great play by the defender to get it tipped and picked on that one there. But he's just finished his second season in a game where he started for his rookie year, which was a COVID year. Like the dude's officially now one full regular season into his career. So, I mean, it'd be stupid to be freaking out. But like you said, this is a team that overachieved, made the playoffs, first year head coach, essentially first year quarterback with 3 first round picks in the back pocket.
And I want to make it clear, too.
And plenty of cap space.
And plenty of cap space. And I want to make it clear regarding Nick Sirianni, too. That was not a good game. It's not a good.
Still love him, though.
It's not a good look. Exactly. Still love the guy. I mean, again, a young coach going up against the veteran Bruce Arians, facing the most experienced quarterback in playoff history, against a defense that got all their guys back, that were ready to make a statement. It's playoff time. And I want to mention this again, a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator, Todd Bowles, who got all his chess pieces back. it was gonna be an uphill battle from the start, and I felt like you're right, Tyson. They did call it too conservatively. Like, if you know you're gonna have an uphill battle, just try to take some shots down the field because
And what's the worst part in losing? If you lose 45-15 compared to 31-50, who cares? It was the
yeah,
last game of the year. You don't get a you don't get a bonus on your contract for only losing by 16. You could have lost by 100. You still lost.
exactly. So we'll see what he does in the offseason, Sirianni, man. I mean, he's obviously going to have to make some adjustments. Matt Eberflus, or no, I'm sorry, Josh Gannon, defensive coordinator, he's been getting some interviews for head coaching positions. I don't think he's going to get one, but that's always a possibility. He may have to look to bring in another defensive coordinator. So there may be some changes on his staff after his first year. So just some things the Eagles going to have to do, I think, internally, whether it's coaching staff, and then obviously we'll get to this more in the offseason, just about where they need to go and supplement some players and pick players and position wise. But personally, for me, the Eagles are in a good spot with their head coach and quarterback. It's not going to be ready made. It's not a microwave thing that you can just throw in and boom, hit a button. Okay, now all of a sudden we got the next Mahomes and Reed. Like, I think this is more of an oven type of deal. Like, you're going to have to let this thing bake. Like Sirianni's going to have to learn on the job. Jalen Hurts, man, he's gonna have to learn. Big Sky Restaurant Supply. There we go. We're gonna need a Big Sky Restaurant Supply oven to come in and bake.
All right. Yeah,
And
I
let this
got
thing
what you
cook
need.
in Philly.
Yeah. I mean, my concern, I guess, going forward with Philadelphia is that people are going to think this is okay. So we made the playoffs, and now we have 3 first-round picks, and we're back. I think we just watched the last game Fletcher Cox plays for the Eagles.
Agreed.
Jason Kelsey, top of the league, top of his game. Really would be hard to see him walking away after making a first-team All-Pro, but he's not far away from hanging it up. Lane Johnson is getting older. Brandon Brooks is getting older. It's kind of an end of an era for the kind of, I guess, the old guard with like Brandon Graham, those kind of guys in Philadelphia. So it could be a longer rebuild than people are anticipating. But I do think that 3 first-round picks is a hell of a way to kick it off.
Now the Cowboys, division rivals.
Brad,
Wow.
what happened?
Wow.
These are your boys. You were addicted to the
Man.
Dallas Cowboys.
I was addicted to them. I was addicted. They let
You
me
just
down.
watch and skip every day.
And
Yes.
it would have been rough too, Tyson. I'm not gonna lie here. I was thinking this. I was like, it's tough that I had to watch the Eagles get embarrassed, and then now I got to turn around and root for the Cowboys for my credibility and my bet.
That's what I was telling you. We just can't do it.
I pigeonholed myself. Oh God. So that happened.
Yeah, you
But
got to the betting machine probably a second too late though and saved your money. Couldn't quite get the card in there.
let's go with that.
Right.
Let's go with
You
that.
pulled the deck. Yeah, you
Exactly.
couldn't quite get it at the end of the game. What a stupid way to lose a playoff game.
That's what I was going to say. To answer your question, what happened? Stupidity happened. I mean, and it's been happening for the Cowboys. It's just the fact that they have this explosive offense and a quarterback we really like in Dak Prescott. And I think that was really the mascara on this team. And I fell for it, man. I fell for the makeup. Like, there's like issues with this team, and it's not always the offense, and it's not always the defense, and it's not always the coaching. Like, it's at times all everything, and you think it's McCarthy from this.
No, I think it starts all the way at the
Oh,
top.
do you think it goes up to
It
Jerry?
goes all the way to the top and on down. It's a clown show. It's been a clown show. They do dumb shit every year. Dallas does something stupid, and then we talk about that for a while, and then the next year we convince ourselves that this year they're not going to do anything stupid, and then they do something stupid, and it just it goes on and on. And it's not like they weren't good enough to win the Super Bowl, but they weren't good enough for us to be pretending like they were going to get there in my mind. And I honestly feel that way about them most years, about most teams most years. I think it's silly to pretend. Like Trayvon Diggs, 11 picks was awesome, but was like that's really cool. He's also the worst coverage corner in the league. and we kind of just left that out. Like Brandon Ayuk was cooking him this week. The first team All Pro corners aren't getting cooked by Brandon Ayuk this year. Michael Parsons was great, and that was an awesome story, but that masked a lot of the other issues with the linebacking core. It's just a never-ending thing in Dallas that it seems that they refuse to kind of acknowledge, and because they dump all these resources to fix the problem, and then they have the sunken cost fallacy over and over and over again, and it's like, I'm at a certain point you got to stop drafting receivers.
Well, they're going to have to let somebody go here because I think Michael Gallup's probably gone. It seemed like Amari Cooper was unhappy. And when Amari Cooper gets unhappy, we know what happens because we saw it in Oakland. He quits. Like they're going to have to figure this thing out. And one of the questions they'll have to answer is clearly if Mike McCarthy's going to be there or if they're going to fire him and elevate Kellen Moore, which I think will be even more of a clown show type of deal. If Kellen Moore leaves as OC, they'll have to bring in somebody else, and that'll be who knows what with who Mike McCarthy brings in. I mean, he brought in Mike Nolan for God's sake on the defensive side last year, and that was a disaster. So,
Yeah, but they're friends.
but they're friends, so it was good. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
they could
watching
go play
film together.
golf, and it was Jerry was fine with that. But everybody else that works up there, his friend too. It's like it's all good.
I think beyond that, here's the big question that the Cowboys are going to have to answer. At $40 million a year,
No,
can Dak Prescott
no,
carry a team that let's
no.
face it, CD Lamb rookie contract, Micah Parsons rookie contract. They're gonna have to pay those
Trayvon
guys.
Diggs.
Trayvon, yeah. I mean, they're gonna have to start paying these guys. And can that quarterback, Dak Prescott, elevate a roster that is gonna need to be carried by younger players and positions that don't have blue chippers every corner? That's
It feels
the question.
this feels so good after the way the Wentz contract was talked about by Cowboys fans. Um, it's our turn a little bit, but no, I don't think Dak's good enough to carry it by himself. I also have been the biggest CeeDee Lamb fan uh, in the world this season, and I thought he disappeared, and he decided to take the day off. I think Amari Cooper continually decides to take the day off, and the one thing about this team is they're just mentally soft, like fold. Like it's a bunch of individuals that play football and they're all famous, and then they crumble when it's like when you get punched in the face, like what San Francisco did to you. And I think that starts with Dak. And we talk about Dak like he's this insane leader and awesome and all this stuff. And I don't know when he showed everybody that, but I missed it. Like in his entire career, they went 13-3 and lost. They lost their first game. They didn't even beat the Seahawks, and then they've been average. And then he was going crazy for 3 weeks and got hurt. And then this year, they were kind of worse than people expected them to be. And then they get bounced by a team when they're playing a home playoff game that snuck in the last week of the season. Like I don't know when this and the other thing on the Kellen Moore aspect, him taking over. So if Mike McCarthy called the play, which is what people were saying, and it went to Kellen Moore, and then he approved it, and then it went to Dak, and he didn't check out of it, and then he called the play. Like that's three idiots, not one.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's as you said, a clown show operation in Dallas right now. They got a lot of things to figure out this offseason. I mean, a lot of things to clean up there. Steelers, listen, we knew how this game was going to go. I think you did more than me. I thought the Steelers were maybe backdoor on the spread side of things, but I thought the Chiefs were going to be comfortable in winning this game. I'll say this right now. Congratulations, Big Ben, on a fantastic career. I mean, Hall of Fame career, first ballot Hall of Famer, fantastic. Steelers, the writing's been on the wall for 4 years. How the hell do you not have an heir apparent?
It's
How?
bad.
You're going to run out. You're going to try to convince us that Mason Rudolph's the guy or that Dwayne Haskins, who can't read a play. No, he can read one. He refuses to read a playbook. Those are the guys who are going to take over for the Pittsburgh Steelers. If that happens, if these two guys are one of them are the starting quarterback next year, I swear to God to you, I will hammer the team total under because that will be the first year that Mike Tomlin has not had a winning season. And it might be a 3-win year with those guys at quarterback. I'm not kidding.
What would the
Like
line be? Like 3.5?
I'm
Like if they
hoping
go into next year with Dwayne Haskins at quarterback,
all those Yinzers like whatever they
just
said of
juice
that,
it.
just juice it up, and I'm fucking hammering the under for everything it's worth because
I don't,
those guys can't win games in this league.
I don't know what prompted them to kind of take a break from going after quarterbacks in the draft because they didn't hit on any of these guys.
Any of them, Josh Dobbs, no.
Sucks. Mason Rudolph sucks. We let Duck Hodges fool us with his cool name and his one good game. He's actually worse than the rest of them. Like Dwayne Haskins got cut from a team that still doesn't have a quarterback. I think that it's a bit poetic that Kenny Pickett's projected to be on the board right when Pittsburgh is supposed to be picking. I think that would be absolutely awesome. Not only for them, but for him and, kind of people that have followed his career. I just don't really see any other ways. I don't know how they pull together enough assets and play around with the cap enough to end up with a guy like Aaron Rodgers or Russ in the trade market. Maybe Jameis Winston just takes the unofficial mantle of taking over for teams that didn't plan for their Hall of Fame quarterback to retire.
I don't know where they go. I think draft is probably smartest. I think they should do everything they can to get Kenny Pickett. It just feels right.
Draft Kenny, sign Jabu, sign Jameis.
Yeah,
I think that's a decent start.
that's a decent start right there. And then, but honestly, TJ Watt, he makes up for a lot of deficiencies in that defense. Soft at stopping the run. Cameron Hayward's getting older. And we know the longevity of defensive tackles. It's not if, it's when.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna have to do something about that defense because as bad as that offense looked and unwatchable at times this year, that defense was really porous.
Oh, it's just held together by a couple superstars, really, like a couple really good football players. And I just think people have fooled themselves about Pittsburgh for the last couple of years. Like, this is not a good roster at all. It's a great organization with a fantastic head coach and a really good culture. But, like, we pretended Chase Claypool was awesome because he caught 4 touchdowns in a game
Yeah,
against like the worst secondary in the league. If that doesn't happen, like this dude has been a monumental disappointment in his second season. No Juju, and this is the result that he. And I know Bend couldn't throw the ball, but there were plenty of times where Claypool didn't play as well as he should. Deontay Johnson still has a case of the drops. Like Najee Harris, really, really good player. Also the same age as Josh Jacobs. I think that that's an important kind of distinction because when we compare him to people, we compare him to Javonte Williams and we compare him to like what Travis Etienne's going to be at. But in reality, he's actually the same age as, guys got drafted 2 years in front of him. It's a weird timeline that the Steelers are on, and they need a younger quarterback, I think, but they're not organizationally built to rebuild. It's supposed to be reload.
exactly. So we'll see what they do, and we'll dive. I have a feeling we're going to be talking a lot about the Steelers this offseason and trying to help them forward with what they should do in our opinions. And then the last one here out of the losing teams, just an embarrassment from Arizona against the Rams. I mean, listen, people want to talk about how bad Jalen Hurts was. Holy smokes, Kyler Murray. I mean, that was embarrassingly bad. And I get it. Everybody hates Cliff Kingsbury. Oh, he sucks, this and that. That day, Kyler Murray was worse at his job than Cliff Kingsbury was. I mean,
Yeah.
holy smokes. I mean,
Kyler was worse at his job than Jalen Hurts was at his job. I thought they and they both were really bad.
I couldn't believe it, man. It's like, okay, yeah, he was uncomfortable. He forgot how to throw the ball 5 feet in front of him.
No, there was one play. I think he was going to Ertz over the middle. It was third quarter, and Ertz he was basically 14 yards in front of Kyler standing still, and Kyler threw it 6 yards and skipped it to him.
And he
Pressure wasn't in his face hardly. It was so bad.
You could see the life of Ertz just deflated from his body after that too.
I did hear though that Kyler left the stadium with a baseball glove and batting gloves.
I heard he's taking reps. He's just waiting for the lockout to end in baseball. He's going to go down to spring training. I think that's the deal.
He didn't want to hurt himself. No, exactly. I mean, this was bad. This was a team that started awesome. Cardinals I think that was my favorite sub kind of storyline of the first half of the season was like, oh, are these guys for real? Because the whole time it was like something's off. And then that something reared its ugly head. It's just the fact that they were on fire. It masked a lot of their deficiencies. They were playing really well together. Guys started to get hurt. The cracks started to show, and it culminated in kind of getting embarrassed. Like Kyler Murray was doing things that, like, I mean, just not just bad quarterbacks, but like bad quarterbacks who make bad decisions. That's what he was playing like. He was 2020 Carson Wentz. Like it was bad.
It was really, really bad. Now, I think the Cardinals are going to have to make up the decision here. It seems like the Cardinals like Cliff Kingsbury a lot. It doesn't seem like they want to move on from him now, but we've seen with these exit meetings, okay, the vision doesn't match up with what the coach wants, and there's kind of a way that, all right, we can see ourselves having a divorce here. Steve Keim went out of his way to say, I want Cliff Kingsbury for Kyler Murray. Fired Steve Wilkes after 1 year. Wanted to draft Kyler Murray over number 1 overall. Let's get Cliff Kingsbury, who's familiar with him from college. Seems like they've given him a long leash. Now, at the same time, people hate him. Man, you went from 8 wins to, what, 10, 11 wins? Like,
Yeah.
he's improved year to year.
I think firing him would be a massive mistake. Like what would the upside be if you were Arizona? I'm not putting it past them. It's not out of their own possibility, but I think that's like something people are talking about because they don't really know what else to talk about with this team.
There's a lot that they're going to have to do in the offseason. I mean, it feels like they have the pieces, right? We go through it. Okay, DeAndre Hopkins,
Sometimes.
AJ, right? Sometimes, but I mean, on the defense end, Buda Baker, Chandler Jones, Byron
JJ.
Murphy, yeah, JJ. Like they've got dudes. Just something is missing, man. I can't put my finger on it still, Tyson's to this day right now.
Well, let's see. First of all, I think Kingsbury has to get at least another year because you have to see now. Uh, that's like the first good building block that they put down, trying to make a foundation so you can, as you say, build a house. So now they got the floor done. So if they can build the walls next year, they're in good shape. But if nothing gets added onto this, then he has to go.
That's fair. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. All right, those are the losers. Those are the losers. We're done with the losers, Tyson. We still got a lot to talk about, man, because it's divisional weekend, baby. It's divisional weekend. We got 2 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday. And it's money making time, boy, because we are giving out our picks, our props, and then of course the round table player prop parlay that we are confident in this one. We got a little surgical with this baby. So we're gonna get this thing cranking right now with the first game on Saturday. And it's a banger. Bengals going to Tennessee at 4:30 Eastern on CBS. Bengals and Joey Cool Ice, whatever cool nickname you want to give them, facing the Titans, who just steamroll teams physically, have sat it back. Mike Vrabel's going to welcome you into his hell den, and they're going to try to just crush you. Right now, line is on FanDuel. Titans are given 3.5. Tyson, what are you feeling in this one?
Bengals money line. That's what I was gonna do the whole time, and then you got me a little fired up with the Vrabel's hellhole or whatever there. I really like Cincinnati. I've really liked Cincinnati all year. Um, I think what they looked like last week in the first half is who they need to look like this whole game to win. But I've seen them now beat good teams enough this season with Burrow playing both good and average for me to think that this is a team that's very scary. I'm not sold on the fact that Derrick Henry's going to be back and ready to roll. And if he's not, I think that's a huge deal. The Titans haven't been exactly playing good teams since they lost Derrick in the last couple, or at least the last few weeks of the season. And they haven't been beating the good teams hardly that they've played really either. So that to me, I think the Bengals are hotter. They have more momentum. They have the better quarterback. And it's going to be one of those deals where I'm going to bet on Joe Burrow more times than I don't for the next 15 years. And it started last week, and it's going to continue.
That's a good point. That's a good point. But I'm going mano a mano against you, and it didn't work out for me last week. But first game, we got to do it again. I'm going Titans money line. I'm going to lay it. I don't like that hook, but I think the Titans win comfortably here. Mike Vrabel is really good. I think he's undefeated, 9-0 with extra days rest. So that's the Thursday and Monday night games since he's taken over as head coach of the Titans. Exceptional when it comes to preparation. I think that kicks up even after a bye week. It's playing right into the hands of Vrabel. And yes, if Derrick Henry's not healthy, or he's going to play a little bit, and he's not all the way 100%, that does hurt a little bit. But Dante Foreman, man, he's been fantastic for him. Really no letdown since he's taken the role from Henry. Now, obviously, he's not Derrick Henry, but he's been a good piece and as a backup, and that offense has still been able to be physical and roll with the punches. I think the X factor here, the wide receivers are healthy for the Titans. Julio Jones is ready to roll, and A.J. Brown's ready to roll. And I think getting those two back, preparing for this Cincinnati defense, an extra week to do it, they're going to figure out how to attack this defense in a way that the Raiders couldn't. I like Titans money line minus 180 here. Next game. Whew, I know you're fired up for this one. 49ers at Packers. This is going to be the Saturday night game, 8:15 Eastern on Fox. This is a banger, man. I mean, Jimmy G, Kyle Shanahan going into Lambeau, facing Aaron Rodgers, Matt LaFleur. Oh, this is gonna be an awesome one. Tyson, give me your pick for this game.
I got the Niners to cover that 5.5. I was close to taking them to win the game. I think that they have a pretty decent shot to win here. It's just Green Bay is a little better than them, and I know that. But things get funky in the playoffs, especially when San Francisco comes to town and they just are we're gonna run the ball. And you can try to stop us if you want. And if you stop us for the first two drives, guess what we're doing on the third drive? We're gonna run the ball. And traditionally they've had success not only just in the playoffs, but a few years ago they came to Lambeau. Or no, that was in San Fran when Lambeau went to San Francisco and the Niners kicked the shit out of them physically, ran all over them. In San Francisco last week, Elijah Mitchell, that first drive was very impressive from
Very
San Francisco.
surgical.
All the way down the field, Elijah Mitchell, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle didn't get the ball much last week. Does that change? Because if so, that's another huge boon probably for San Francisco. If he gets the ball more, generally good things happen.
They're going to have to go ahead.
Okay, no, they're going to have to stop Aaron Rodgers, and that's kind of what I'm mostly worried about because this is not a good secondary talent wise. They have no shot of matching up with Devontae Adams. But if they can shorten the game clock and do what they do, and maybe we're looking at a repeat where we thought that Dallas was going to throw all over them, but Dallas had to change the way they were going to play because they were only getting the ball every 10 minutes.
That's a good point. I mean, I think too the 0-degree weather that's going to happen in Lambeau. Yes, that plays into the favor of the Packers. They're comfortable in it. They play well in sub-degree weather, in sub-freezing weather because Aaron Rodgers' arm strength and just his ability to throw in that weather. But Niners are a physical team. they can run the ball, so they're not finesse. They don't need perfect conditions to play physical. But with that being said, I'm going mano against you again, Tyson. I'm taking Packers minus 5.5 in this one. Now, I absolutely hate the number, but I didn't want to lay a minus 245 in this one on the Packers money line for them to win. So I'm gonna expect the Packers to win by a touchdown here. Now, I had heard rumors that if Fred Warner and Nick Bosa get confirmed that they are in and playing, this number is going to go down to 4.5. So if the number goes down, I'm obviously taking it at 4.5. So I'm holding on to that. But if it stays 5.5, I will be jumping on the Packers at this number. And a lot of it is what you said. I'm going to add this, though. LaFleur is a really good coach off of bye.
Really good.
And
he's a really good coach in general.
He is. And he's a really good preparer. And I think they use this to figure out how to attack that secondary of the Niners. And I don't think that there's going to be an answer for Aaron Rodgers. Even in this weather, I think you're going to dice up that secondary, and they're going to figure out ways to get Devontae Adams involved that the Cowboys couldn't do last week when they faced the Niners with CeeDee Lamb. Like, they're not going to make that mistake of, oh, the Niners are showing us this, like, well, we'll just throw it to somebody else. Like, no, Devontae Adams has gotten this here. We're going to ride our horse until he breaks down. So I like the Packers big in this one, actually. I know the curse of Packers against the Niners and Packers against physical teams, but I think they survive for another week in the playoffs. Rams Bucks on Sunday. Rams got to go down to Tampa. This is a revenge spot for the Bucks after getting absolutely embarrassed. I want to say in week 3, which feels like it was 3 years ago. This is a big game. 3 p.m. Eastern on NBC. Line right now on FanDuel. Bucks -3. Now it's juiced in favor of the Rams a little bit. There's potential it gets down to 2.5. If there's enough action on the Bucks. Tyson, what are you feeling for this one?
I don't want to bet this hardly at all. This is hard right here. This is a tough one. I'm going to go Rams to cover the spread here at that 3-point number. I can see this game going any direction. I could see the Buccaneers beating the brakes off the Rams and vice versa, or either team winning by a point or a field goal in overtime or something like that. This has the potential to be one of those great all-time slugfests offensively, or it could also just be like two really good defenses going at each other. These are really good teams, really well coached. I think that the Rams are riding a little higher right now. I know that the Bucks got essentially a tune-up game last week, which will be good for them. They're slowly getting people back, but this is like Matt Stafford on this offense when they're going good, like they were in week 3 against the Buccaneers, unbeatable. And now that defense just like bullied Kyler Murray. They're not going to bully Tom Brady, but they're equipped to kind of knock this offense around a little bit, just enough to keep this close.
What does Tom Brady hate the most? Interior pass rush. That's something that could be provided by Aaron Donald, and now you bring in edge rushers coming around to supplement the pressure up the middle. That could be an issue for Brady and the Bucks, especially considering Jensen is a little banged up, their center, and Tristan Wirfs, the right tackle, is a little banged up. That's something to keep an eye on.
And Mike Evans traditionally struggling with bigger physical corners like Jalen Ramsey.
Yep, we've seen Marshawn Lattimore shut down Mike Evans in the past. We'll see if Ramsey can do that. That's a tall task for him in this one. But with that being said, I'm going with the GOAT. I'm going Bucks money line. I'm laying it. I'm not fucking around with that point spread. I'm not. Like, if it gets to 2.5, fine. But even if they win by 1 on some last second, I don't want to be crushed by that. I'm just going to lay the juice here, -146 with the Bucks. Bucks are really, really good at home. Like, really good at home. Now the Rams have to go after a huge win, huge emotional win for Matt Stafford and the team. Go cross country, go down to Tampa where it's humid and muggy out there, and they're not in the dome. They're going to have to get up for this game, who has been licking their chops to lay one back on the Rams. Licking their chops to get one back here. I'm laying the juice here with the Bucks.
It's also Tom Brady versus LA, which like he plays well against San Francisco. He's also, this is maybe one of those you're sticking with that. Maybe this is one of those situations where he wants to just get some revenge because like it feels weird for me to bet against the GOAT. I know. Well, man, I just switched to Burrow, so whatever.
True. Bills at Chiefs to end our divisional round weekend. I mean, what a banger this is, man. I mean, 6:30 Eastern on CBS. Woo! Right now, the line is Chiefs -1.5, juiced in their favor. Bucks took a ton of money early. It's going back in the Chiefs' favor as we get a little bit more public as we get closer to the game. So we'll see where it actually ends up. A lot of people are expecting this thing to potentially get down to a pick 'em, with a lot of people loving Bills. This, beyond just the gambling aspect, this game is huge for the Bills. I mean, talk about a nemesis that they need to vanquish. Okay, Patriots is one thing. They did that in their division. This is the next step for them. They have to throw a haymaker at the Chiefs. And the regular season was cute and a nice little statement, but this is when it matters. They're going to have to play their best game of the year.
And it's a different Chiefs team at a different level right now, playing with a different level of confidence. I wasn't all the way sold on if I thought that the Chiefs were going to win the AFC until they ran only up by look, they were up 3 touchdowns or 2 touchdowns. And that might seem like a lot, but it's, in an NFL game that could change quickly. And they ran out Travis Kelce. And then they flared Mahomes out and had Kelce throw a touchdown pass. He could have thrown it to either one. That was some serious we're back. This is what we do. This is who we are. If you don't like it, stop us. And I haven't seen them do that all year. Like, I haven't seen them play with this swagger and this confidence. Really, it's been a few times since the AFC Championship game a year ago. So I think that I have the Kansas City Chiefs money line. I think that big bad bully is going to stay that way. I preseason would have had the Bills winning this game, but Josh Allen just played a perfect game, and I don't know if he can put two together in a row.
That he's going to have to, I think, honestly. Going into Kansas City, the thing that the Bills have to do to win this game is limit mistakes. Like, that is the big thing. You can't give momentum to Patrick Mahomes in this defense because they feast on it, man. Like, as soon as they start getting momentum, it feels like they know, like, they can flip a switch again, and that's scary. I mean, we discussed this once the Chiefs started rolling again. Once they get that feeling of, okay, I can take a haymaker, you make a mistake, all of a sudden, boom, I see your chin, you're going to get knocked out. And they got that swagger back again, and it feels right at the right time. They're starting to heat up. So it's I don't know, man. It's tough for me because I want the Bills to win.
Me too.
So Tyson, I may be an idiot here, but I'm gonna bet with my heart in this one. I'm gonna go Bills money line, take the juice. I want them to win.
We
All
just go
signs are
opposite
pointing
on
to the
all
Chiefs
those?
here, except yeah, we did. We're we're mano a mano in every game. Bills money line here. I can live with myself if they lose this game because it just feels like this team is ready to roll. Like, it's something that they're, like, obsessed with. And yeah, there was, like, things during the regular season. You're like, I don't know. But when this team puts it together and it looks like they have rolling down the stretch, they might be the best team in the league with a quarterback who he may be the most unstoppable, like most physically dominant, can do anything with his legs, run over a D tackle, run over a linebacker. Oh, and then by the way, he just threw for 300 yards. Like, if it happens, I want to say if, because it's going to be a big task to go into Kansas City and do this. If the Bills win this game, I think they may be the Super Bowl champions.
Oh man, I know. I was gonna say I totally agree with you, but there's like, I mean, you got a little brother. You understand how it is when Tom Brady, if he's across the field on the other sideline, and all those Bills dudes are looking at him, they're having Vietnam flashbacks. Is what's going through their head during the national anthem. So it could be very competitive, but yeah, I would say so.
That's gonna be a game, man. I can't wait for these games. Woof. Can't come soon enough.
We're spoiled this year. I feel like all these ones are absolutely heat games. Like, these are
Imagine if the
heaters.
Chargers and Colts made it.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
God. That'd have been incredible. All right. Well, now it's time for some props and exotics, Tyson. That was my saving grace last weekend. I'm going to try to do it in combination with us having a big against the spread game. Now, I'm hoping for me that my picks are better this week, and then you feel a little sorry, so I can beat you in one week, you beat me in the other week. So
Hey man, we make money together. Let's just both go. Let's both get all these right.
that's what I'm saying. We let's get these props. Let's get these exotics.
That's not what you're saying. You're saying you hope I get them all wrong.
Well, what? I don't want to go 2-2.
Transparency, Bradley.
I don't want to go 2-2. I want to go 4-0. All right. The first one I'm going in this Bengals Titans game, I'm going to go T. Higgins over 4.5 receptions. Was basically obsolete last game. I think that changes in this one. I think they're going to target him early. just similar to what they did with Jamar Chase against the Raiders, where it looked like they had designed 3 catches immediately for Chase. I think they do that with Higgins this week. I'd love over 4.5 receptions for him. Um, and then on the flip side for the Titans, I'm going to go AJ Brown over 5.5 receptions. Now I think that they've game planned a big game from AJ Brown that the Titans have offensively. That's going to be their plan. So I'll take a shot on 6 catches here from AJ Brown. Maybe it's off play action. Maybe they do some curls and drags and some bubble screens, but I think he'll get there over 5.5 receptions. And then my last little prop exotic here, I'm going to go Titans team total over 13 in the first half. It feels like this is a game where the Titans come out well prepared. They get up early, and then maybe there's an opportunity for the Bengals late. But I feel like the Titans may jump out to an early lead here, so I think they'll score 2 touchdowns in the first half.
I love it. I'm doing the specials like I did last week.
Yes, sir.
Just kind of give people out there what I think are good bets on the specials tab here. So one thing I think is that Joe Burrow is going to have a huge day. And I think Joe Burrow is going to have such a huge day that he might lead the divisional weekend in passing yards.
Oh, man.
And right now he is plus 500. And if you listened to me last week, then we have some money left over in the account that we can just sprinkle on. If you listen to Brad, you're reloading the card. No, I really do think that bet is not bad at all, not bad value, just because I think that there's a real world where they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. And when Joe Burrow gets into a groove, it could be the 85 Bears over there sometimes, it seems. He's going to figure out a way to dice you up, score touchdowns. The other one I like in this game is Jamar Chase and T. Higgins to combine for 175 plus total yards. And I like that one because, like I said, I think Burrow's going to have a big game. I, like Brad, think that T. Higgins is going to have a bigger game than he had last week. And I'm pretty confident that T. Higgins might be the most slept on high-level young wide receiver in the league right now, because we talk about Jamar and Debo and Justin Jefferson and A.J. Brown and all these guys. And quietly, T. Higgins is, putting up numbers similar to the rest of them, making impact in the game. So I like those two for this game.
What was the payout on that? What are the odds?
Plus 175.
Plus 1. Wow. I like that a lot. Because Chase was running the ball last weekend too.
And and on top of it, it's like, I think that Burrow's going to throw for 300. So I think those guys are the main benefactors.
Oh, that's interesting. Plus 175. I might have to look into that on my end. 49ers at Packers, props and exotics here. I'm going to go with the crazy man, George Kittle, over 4.5 receptions. Another player that was quiet last weekend that I think will have a big game due to game planning. I think Kyle Shanahan's going to really focus on getting Kittle the ball and have him be an impactful player in this one. And the other little handicap I'm throwing in here, Jimmy G's not healthy. I don't think he's going to throw the ball down the field a lot. It's also freezing cold. He's never started an NFL game below freezing in his entire career. So that's a little nugget there. So how is he going to respond along with the shoulder sprain and thumb injury? Well, it could be little dumps across the middle for Kittle. Over 4.5 receptions there. I also like Allen Lazard over 38.5 receiving yards. He's become a go-to guy for Rodgers down the stretch. Marquez Valdez-Scantling out of this game opens up opportunities for other receivers not named Devontae Adams. And I think Allen Lazard's going to be the main beneficiary of that. So over 38.5 yards for Allen Lazard. And then I'm going to rock with Devontae Adams over 7.5 receptions. And you may think, oh, that's insane. He's had multiple 10-plus catch games. I think he gets another one here. So over 7.5 receptions for my man, Devontae Adams. And then the last one on this one, Packers over 26.5 team total. I think they'll score 4 touchdowns in this game. And if not, I think for sure they'll score 3 and then maybe have to kick a couple field goals. So those are my plays in this one.
Yeah, I definitely think they get to that point number. I think a lot of people out there are betting as if this game is going to be 9-6 or something like that. And that just, to me, isn't going to be the case. And I am going with Elijah Mitchell to have the most rushing yards in divisional weekend. at plus 340. And there's another candidate in this game as well. And I'm not officially endorsing this one, but I would look at A.J. Dillon to lead the week in rushing at plus 1,600. I've talked about him ad nauseum on the show, especially bringing up the way he plays in cold weather games and the way his tape looks and the way he played at Boston College in cold weather games. This dude was built for 0-degree weather. Like this dude is an absolute animal. At plus 1,600, it's worth sprinkling. And then, like, this one is so hard for this game because some of these props, they're good ones. I can't decide if I want it for lowest scoring game of the weekend, but it's a good value there as well. Everyone thinks it's going to be Bengals Titans. But tentatively, I'm going to leave that one off. That's the only one I think for sure is we're going to get the rushing leader out of this week or out of this game.
And what was Mitchell? What was that? What was
Plus 340.
Plus 3? Oh, okay, so he's a favorite.
Him and Derrick Henry, who I would love to take, but I haven't seen play football in a while.
Right. Mitchell plus 340 for lead. Woof. It's not like the Packers are great at stopping the run.
No. Yeah. That's last time we thought they were great at stopping the run or good enough at it. They weren't. So I'm leaning that way again.
Rams and Bucks props exotics here. Now I'm going to take a shot on my first one here. I got two in this one. I'm going to go Cameron Brate touchdown plus 410. Gronkowski's been the target. Gronkowski's been Brady's man. We know that. You know who else knows that? The Rams. So Byron Leftwich may get a little cheeky down in the red zone and dial something up for our man Cameron Brate. I'm going to take a shot on him to get in the end zone at plus 410. And then also I'm going to go Tyler Johnson over 31.5 receiving yards. If Mike Evans is able to be taken out of the game by Jalen Ramsey, somebody else not named Gronkowski is going to have to step up. I'm willing to bet that it is Tyler Johnson. Was targeted, I want to say 3 times last week, had that drop, so Brady kind of went away from him. But he's going to have to go back to him, and I'm sure Tyler Johnson won't make that mistake again after Brady kind of chewed his ass a little bit so and gave him that death stare. So I like Tyler Johnson over 31.5 receiving yards.
I think that's a good bet. I think that could be one of those deals where it's just a one play. He catches one pass, and all of a sudden we don't have to sweat. So I do like that one. I think that this has the potential to be the highest scoring game of the weekend. That's my official. Let me find the odds on it here, but that's what I think. And then I think that Kansas City Buffalo game is teasing all of us right now. We're all buying into the fact that that's going to be a 70-point game,
right?
When in reality, it's the Bills' awesome defense versus a much improved Chiefs defense. So this one at highest scoring game of the weekend is plus 310. I like that a lot. I just think that there is potential in this game for a track meet. And we have two guys who aren't scared to give it to us in Bruce Arians and Sean McVay. Like, if this is what you want to do, then we can do this. I think Cam Akers unlocks something, like we've been saying all year, unlocks something in the LA offense. And by the way, dude, 5 months?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man.
After 5 months?
Blow your Achilles 5 months ago and you're playing football again and have an impactful game. Like, it's sickening.
It's disgusting. It's really it's insane. Oh, and then on top of that, I guess
I like that a lot.
I'll put on this one for this game. Last week didn't hit, but this week we're going back to the well. Each team to score 1+ rushing touchdown plus 2,500. These are teams that actually depend on running the ball. Like almost every team outside of Kansas City. And even then, I think we might get a Travis Kelce quarterback sneak touchdown. I'll take those odds at plus 2,500. I think that's pretty good.
I do too. I like that one last week. This week for sure. I mean, Titans are going to rush one in. It feels like the Packers always run one in. I mean, the Niners. This might be a week for that juicy hit there, Tyson. I love that plus 310 for Tampa and Rams. It's sneaky. I like that one a lot with you as well. Now, finally, Bills, Chiefs, props, exotics in this one. I have one, and that's Chiefs over 13.5 first half points. I think they'll get 2 touchdowns in the first half. I really do. I think they may come out hot. I think they'll probably score in the first quarter a touchdown. and then you're going to get a lot of possessions to get another one for the halftime buzzer. So I think they'll score 14 in the first half.
Yeah, I could see that happening. That could happen quick. That could be a 2-drive kind of thing there. I don't really have anything in this game. This is a scary one to me as far as betting goes, because this is where we gear ourselves up because it's going to be this awesome. We're taking the overs on everything, and then the game, nothing of value happens until a field goal kick in overtime. There is one left on here that I like, and that's any game from divisional weekend to go into overtime plus 300. I don't like it a lot. That's why I saved it for last. But there's every game this weekend feels like it should be close. It should be tight at the end. And there's it's a non-zero chance that at least one of these go to OT.
That's fun.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's fun. I mean, if you don't have a rooting interest, like if you're not a fan of either of these teams, and you're like, okay, this is sick, let's go to OT. Now you can win some juice on it too. That's awesome. Plus 300. And my last one here, saving this for last because it involves multiple teams here. I'm gonna play a 6-point teaser. I'm gonna go Packers down to a pick'em, and the Bills up to plus 7.5. So I'm gonna get 6 points for you unfamiliar with teasers out there. I'm using 6 points to move the line in my favor either which direction. So I'm going to take the Packers from 5.5, or if it gets to 4.5, I'll have 2.5 points in my favor down to a basic pick 'em. So all they got to do is win the game instead of cover that number. And then in coordination with that, I'm going to take the Bills from plus 1.5 up to plus 7.5. So get
I
over
love
that
that.
number of the touchdown there. And that is my last prop and exotic for the weekend.
That's a good one. That's really good.
All right, Tyson. But now it's time for the fucking main event, baby. It's time for the main event. Now, we were confident last week. We had some confidence. It didn't start off well with Josh Jacobs and Damian Harris. So we had a rough Saturday. But we're back. It's gambling. We're not giving up, baby. So we got another round table prop parlay that's going to be at plus 22,426 on the odds. So you bet $10, you win 2,200. You bet $100, you win 22 grand. So whatever you bet, whatever you're comfortable with, sprinkle on with us and let's ride a little bit on this one. And I think, Tyson, we got a good chance to hit it this week.
Well, let's see what the people think. I think to kick it off, we're doing better. Hopefully, we're less optimistic than we were a week ago. Kicking off the bet with Joe Mixon over 19.5 receiving yards. He's hit that number numerous times this season. His last 3 games, he's been well over 19.5. I think 28, 70, and 45 or something like that in his last 3 games receiving yards. I love this one. I think that Joe Mixon is going to catch a screen, and then all of a sudden we just need one more catch. This could be 2 catches. I think Joe Mixon gets this number easy.
Now, pairing that with Joe Mixon touchdown as well. You mentioned he could take a screen to the house. He could run it in. Like Joe Mixon, I think is going to need to have a big game for the Bengals in this one. I fully expect Joe Mixon to find himself in the end zone. So I love the Joe Mixon props in this one, and we both do as well. So we are rocking Joe Mixon in this first Bengals game.
That's the Joe Mixon parlay right there. We can just do that by itself. We talked about it's going to be freezing. It's going to be physical. It's going to be difficult game. Aaron Rodgers over 265.5. He doesn't care about any of that. That's 265 yards for probably the most talented dude to ever sling a football around a football field against a team that he no secret wanted to play for all those years ago. He's kind of had it out for them ever since. 265 is just not enough to scare me away. If this was 275, 280, I would rethink it. 265 feels like a very doable. Devontae Adams could have 200 of that 265 with that secondary, so I like this number.
A.J. Dillon, your boy, over 39.5 rush yards. The dude's played in the cold at Boston. The dude has thighs the size of grown men. Nobody's going to want to tackle this refrigerator running downhill at him in this one. 39.5 rush yards. He may get that in 2 carries. I'm not kidding. This seems really low.
He's been over 39.5 all but 5 times this season, and 3 of those times were weeks 1, 2, and 3. So since week 4, he hasn't hit this number twice, which is just like what we just said about um,
Mixon.
Joe Mixon. It's this is ones where we're trying to find kind of where what are they, because like I said, he's fifth on the to lead the division weekend in rushing. So they can't put him fifth while and also really believing he's only going to rush for 39 and a half. I think it's bait, and I'm
And
going
we're
to take
taking it, baby. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Speaking of taking the bait, we don't even know. Leonard Fournette touchdown. We're not even sure if this dude's going to play. I know that if he does play, he's getting in the end zone
Yeah.
because this dude has like quietly become their second most important player on offense, maybe the most important player on offense for this team to get where they want to go. Keyshawn Vaughn actually was better than anticipated in his absence, I guess, but that's a third round running back that we haven't seen for 2 years. So that was kind of interesting to see him play well. But Leonard Fournette is much better. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He gets in the end zone. That's what he does. And he's going to have the opportunity if he plays this week. Big fan of this one.
I am too. I think he will play. That's why they sat him out against the Eagles, get him ready for this one. I think they were
How
confident.
disrespectful.
Hey, yeah, but playoff Lenny, baby, get us in the end zone. I love it. Now, we're pairing that in this game with a Cam Akers touchdown. We get it. We know it's hard to run on the Bucks. We know that's to be a fact. But Cam Akers is really explosive, and I think they can utilize him in the passing game as well. And he has that thing where, hey, he escapes those big boys up front and Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh, and he can just get shot out of a cannon right into the end zone past the second level. So we're taking a Cam Akers touchdown in this one.
And I mean, you got to be a fool to believe that neither one of these teams are going to be in the red zone all day. So I think a couple running back scoring is not so far fetched to keep it going. Josh Allen, anytime touchdown scorer. If they win, he's going to have to score. He's going to have to Josh Allen his way into the end zone, through, over, around, however he can do it. He's going to have to, and I think he will. This dude is just a physical freak. Like, he's made in a lab kind of freak. We don't often talk about him that way, but his entire kind of the way he plays football, his whole aura, the way his ego, challenging guys at the goal line, and he's running over linemen to get in the end zone. He's going to score a touchdown. It's going to fire the Bills up, and we're going to get a good game.
And for those out here, it's not Josh Allen passing TD. He has to run it in. So
Yeah.
don't watch it. See he threw a touchdown. Be like, oh, he hit. Like, no, he's got to run it in with his legs.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It'd be very nice. It would be very nice. And then the last one in our 8-leg little parlay here, we're going to go Stephon Diggs to have 60 plus receiving yards. You had the stats on it earlier, Tyson. I think you said what? Only 4 times all season. 4 out of 17 games, he hasn't hit this number.
18 if it includes the playoffs.
Including the playoffs.
And one of them was in that -30 wind blowing Patriots only threw it 3 times game.
They're going to have to get Stephon Diggs involved. You can't go out without giving your horses a chance here. Target Diggs early and often, the Bills will do. And they're going to take us home, Tyson. I mean, this is a banger. Mixon TD over 19.5 receiving yards for Mixon. Rodgers over 26.5 pass yards. A.J. Dillon over 39.5 rush yards. Leonard Fournette touchdown. Cam Akers touchdown. Josh Allen touchdown. And Stephon Diggs 60-plus receiving yards to give us our roundtable prop parlay at a plus 22,426 odds.
That's pretty good.
I love it.
And we're putting this episode is coming out early enough that I think more people can fade or tail with us on this one. But why would you fade? It's going to be fun. What joy do you get out of, like, if it doesn't hit and how do you parlay everything on here to not happen? You can't do that. So then it's just not playing. You just don't want to play? Come on.
Yeah, you got to play, man. It's divisional weekend, for God's sake. Let's go. Tyson and I, man, we're excited for this stuff. Unfortunately, I don't want to spoil the mood here, but man, we only have so many of these football shows left.
Yeah, but you know that there's going to be an incredible amount of drama.
True.
In the next 6 months, we have plenty of football shows. Plus, we got to get into the basketball shows. Yeah, the Phoenix Suns look pretty good. They look pretty good tonight.
I know they did. They did. So we'll have a lot to discuss. Even when football eventually, we have to turn the calendar on that. But until then, it's all football, baby. I know you guys love it. We love it too. Follow the Roundtable on Instagram at _ the Roundtable Pod. Follow me on Twitter at bwakai. I'm starting to put out some more picks as college basketball is getting going, and same with hockey. And then follow Tyson on Instagram at Tyson Gentry. See that luscious beard growing back? He's back,
Thank
baby.
God. Thank God.
It's too cold, man. You got to get that lumberjack beard going.
It hasn't been so bad here. It dumped snow on us and then got cold, but anything above 32 degrees is like I could wear shorts.
That's a good day.
Yeah. That's why I shaved. I was like, this is balmy.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening as always. Like, subscribe, share. You guys know the drill. We're looking forward to growing with you in 2022. Enjoy the games this weekend. Gamble responsibly. Let's win some money with us. Let's hit that parlay, and then we'll keep it rolling. But until next time, guys, peace.